Hi, I'm Nicola.
And I'm Jay Percy.
And welcome to the Afro Animist Podcast.
We are two animists and spiritual practitioners exploring the secular through the spiritual, discussing life experiences through a sacred lens.
Each week we share our experiences and dive deep into everything in life, from philosophy, metaphysics, obeah, occultism, shamanism, culture, healing, nature, animism,
the arts, pop culture, conspiracies, psychedelics and witchcraft. Nothing is off the table in these discussions, which aim to get to the heart of what it means to be spiritual and Afro-diasporic in an increasingly sterile and authoritarian world.
We keep it real whilst exploring the biggest mysteries of our multiverse. Join us holding this space to laugh, cry, debate, build community and tear down oppressive structures. Oh God, I feel nervous.
Meeting.
How do we do this? Are we going to tell everyone about your name change?
Yeah, we are. Welcome, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful being of the multiverse to, I guess, a new season of the Afro Animist Podcast. Hi, we are so delighted to be back. We're so delighted to be talking with you again. If you're new to this, we welcome you to this new season. Check out our old seasons. They're on all good platforms where good podcasts are available. I guess it's in store for a bit of intro. Do you want to go first?
Well, I'm Nikki. I'm Nicola, by the way. Do we say our names still? If you don't know, get to know. So,
I guess.
Should I just say, I'm already feeling that, like, I hit record and immediately start to shake a little bit. I'm feeling so nervous about starting back up again. Let's explore that.
Yeah, let's explore that. But yeah, this is Nikki. Hi, Nikki.
Hi. Who are you?
Wow. I guess new in this season is the reintroduction of myself. Hi, my name is Love. Formerly Jay Percy. But I'm going by Love. After a very recent journey, which we're going to be talking about in this episode. Nikki, what are we talking about in this episode?
Well, if you know us, we're probably going to talk about a bit of everything. And I will apologise for that now because it's probably going to be my fault. But obviously we've had this break. And so I want to just cover a little bit about what's gone on in our personal lives on the break, and then obviously that's very linked into your journey. So Jay's obviously been on a journey to meet with grandmother for the first time, and it's just actually a really beautiful point in your journey to have that sharing and that discussion about it. And then we'll see what we move on to, but obviously I was just saying to Jay before we hit record that all I can think about at the moment is aliens and AI, so that probably will come in. Go.
Yeah. What? Wait, what? Are we talking about what we did in our break?
Yeah. Okay. So, Jay, we haven't recorded anything. I'll cut that bit.
That's all right. Keep it in.
I've changed.
Listen, guys, a name change is a hard thing to get used to. I'm giving people around me a lot of grace at the moment because I need to give myself grace, because when I go up to people and introduce myself to people, I'm like, hi, I'm Love. It's like a very NPC moment. It's a bit weird. I kind of like short circuit. I went to a wedding on Monday of all days, Monday wedding, and someone introduced themselves to me and I said, hi, I'm Love, lovely to meet you. And they're like, oh, you all right, Love? Oh, I bet you get that all the time. I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, this is literally the first time. So there's that to look forward to. Yeah,
I think it's beautiful actually that you've done that for yourself, and you've decided to kind of add this vibration of this extra dimension to like who you are. So like you go and introduce yourself to people, they know immediately.
Yeah,
this is like the embodiment of love is standing right in front of me. Okay, so I just completely forgot what you asked me. Did you ask me a question?
Yeah, I asked you what you were doing on your time off.
Oh, a lot of stuff. actually. Like I moved house. Now, obviously, we all know that that's quite a big deal. Moved house, but it's fabulous. I love it. I'm still in the countryside, but I'm now basically on the side of a nature reserve. There is just plants everywhere, obviously. All the animals, all the birds. I'm literally having the best time right now. And I'm super excited because when I was on my dog walk this morning, I have just seen about 10 different kinds of mushroom. And I'm not the best at identifying them, but I found out that in this nature reserve, over 1,000 species of mushroom, and they're all just like popping out of the ground right now. And I don't know, I am a little girl about this stuff. Sorry, was the postman who now flirts with me
Hmm.
and just came to my house for no reason because he had no post for me.
What?
Oh, I think I've got this right. I was like, no, that's that house. You know that is that house. You know this is the annex because last week we had a conversation about this being the annex, and he was like, oh, you look really lovely with your makeup on today. Oh, glad to see you got your makeup on today. I was like, okay, bye. Fuck off, you old white man.
Is is he a handsome postman? Because we have a handsome postman.
If he was a handsome postman, do you think I would have come up this pissed off? He's like 70 years old, fat white man. And I'm sure I'm fulfilling some kind of like exotic dream of when he went to like Malawi went in the 80s. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I went to Jamaica once.
I went to Jamaica once, really wanted
I
to fuck a
really
black
like
girl.
I really like jerk chicken.
Really like jerk chicken. Exactly. No, it's funny, isn't it? Because like I immediately know if I'm being fetishized. Like
Yeah.
no words. I need to Jay, it's okay,
No,
baby.
no, no. There's a look, there's a tone.
Yeah, there's a look and
Foxy,
there's a
don't go
tone.
in there.
So animals. Anyway,
Yeah. Come, come sit up here. Come on, you'll be more useful up here. I'm just afraid that she's going to start dashing around like an asshole, and then we're going to have a foxy situation. Animals, isn't it?
we've got the animal situation, man. If people don't know this by now when they listen to us, where the fuck have they been? Okay, let me go back and be like, Okay, so yeah, these mushrooms.
Yeah.
I do
There's
feel
1,000
there's
species.
1,000
Probably
species,
plus.
and they are popping out of the ground right now, like little, magic little things,
Yeah.
and it just makes me so excited to see it. Like, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner. I was just starved of nature for my entire life. So now I'm
Oh,
like, oh my
yeah,
God, things grow out of the ground. It still blows my mind.
yeah.
But yeah. And the mugwort, if you watched our live, by the way, where I was running around the streets like a crazy person picking mugwort, that is literally right by my house. There's like a forest of fucking mugwort. I'm so overexcited about it. But yeah, that's what my life has been. Exciting.
Fabulous.
What about
Fabulous.
you?
The moving house. Well, first, before I go on to me, moving house into this new space, which by the way is beautiful. Um, I'm so excited for her. I need to actually go and see her place because she showed me videos and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's so light and airy. And I'm so happy for you in this new
Thank you.
stage of things, because you really deserve to be in such a beautiful, beautiful space.
Oh, thank you so much. That literally means so much. I just like, not that, not, obviously the internet doesn't know, but the last couple of years have been quite challenging for me when it comes to my living situation. So it's almost feels like, and this may sound really weird, but like, it almost feels like I've come out of like a really long vision quest. So I've done vision quest before where you go off and you just like, um, I'd go off to a mountain and I meditated 4 days, 4 nights, no food, no water, completely on my own.
Mm.
Um, and there's just a process that happens when you put yourself under such duress. There's a
Mm.
reason that when we're doing this kind of work, we'll fast or, dance until we're exhausted or whatever these things are, because they eliminate like, so when you're on your vision quest, like not eating, knowing that you can't eat eliminates that as an issue for you. So you don't
Yeah.
even really have to think about it. You can miss food, but you're not going to have to think about what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat it, if you're going to cook, all that kind of stuff. So all these things are eliminated. Um, anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. You put yourself under a level of duress that creates change, right? And I feel like unintentionally for a couple of years, that's kind of what my situation became. I was on so much like stress
Mm.
that it's kind of crushed me down, and now I'm kind of coming out and trying to and be able to step more into the place that I want to step into. And tell you what, this place that I live right now, I manifested the shit out of this. Like I fucking manifested it. And like I really struggle to manifest because I have a lot of, I'll manifest in a positive way because I have a lot of bad thoughts all the fucking time. So I know that I hold myself in these dark places sometimes. But this, I was just like in my rock bottom, I would every day be like, I want this, 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 and not the normal things people would think about. Like, I didn't give a fuck what the house looked like. What I
Yeah.
cared about was where it was, what the road looked like, what the people that were around were like, what was near it, like, what I would look out my window and see. Like, those were the things. I didn't think about how I was going to decorate or what I wanted in the place, just like all of those visceral things. And it really kind of, it's actually amazing because I think this is the first time in my life I can sit down every day and look around and go, I fucking brought this to me. Like I know I did because I thought about these details so specifically so much. I didn't make a thing about it. I wouldn't sit down and be like, I'm going to manifest today.
Can I ask you to put a clip in here of, I think it was an episode of Manifesting where you say, sometimes I think I'm good at manifesting, but sometimes terrible.
Yes. Yeah, I will.
Because this is proof that you are able to do it. It just takes
Yeah.
it can take such intense focus. And I've not seen anyone focus so much on bringing something into their life as you have done in bringing this place into your life, which is why I wanted to not just skate past it. Oh yeah, she's just moved house. Like, no, this has been like a long time coming, and
Yeah.
honestly, it's beautiful, and it's just like a first stage in sort of act 2 of things for you, I guess.
Babes, I'm leveling the fuck up.
Woo!
And environment was number one.
Yeah,
So without feeling safe and secure and able to rest and able to be myself, like like you just can't. Some people can. I don't navigate well in those kind of spaces. Pressure can work really well for me, but the anxiety is like soul destroying.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, this is like I'm proud of it. I am proud of it because I do have that. Like I've said to all you guys on the internet, that when I manifest lots of shit, and this is just there's I can't. What I love about magic, right, is how non-magical it feels when you actually do it. And you're like,
mm,
oh, this is just real. So it's like I
yeah,
don't, like I said, I didn't sit down and go every day, okay, I'm going to manifest this thing that I want and sit down and focus like that. I didn't do that. I just would daydream, but like I would hardcore fucking daydream. Like I'd get to a place and I'd be really sad.
well,
And I
that's
don't know
good.
if you say again.
Sorry, no, you go on before I
So I'd get to a place where I would be like really, the rock bottom place where you're like, okay, I can't continue having shitty thoughts, right?
mm,
And then I would just start to daydream about the details of the things that I wanted, the detail and the feelings. And I've really changed my ideas around this recently when it comes to my manifestation, because obviously feelings are the most important. You need to feel like you're there so you can pull it in. But what
yeah,
I also realized is when I was trying to like, manifest my perfect life when I was younger, it was so based on how things looked, because that's what you think, that's what you kind of think you have to do. So, whereas now what I'm manifesting for my future life is what I feel. So it's, I look forward into my future and go, how do I want to feel? What
yeah,
are the things that make me feel the ways I want to feel? Okay, those are the things that I'm going to bring in. And then it's actually easier to manifest them because I actually know what that feeling is that I'm seeking.
mm,
Rather than this, like, I want to be a like bazillionaire, but I don't have that experience of having money. So
yeah,
do you know what I mean? In this lifetime, I don't have the experience of not really, only in my adult life have I managed to come a little bit out of poverty. So for
yeah,
me to get this feeling of being rich is really fucking hard. But for me to get this feeling of being like enjoying the richness of nature or enjoy, all of those things is different and possible and is the same, because for me to enjoy nature in the way I want to enjoy it, I'm probably going to need to be a multimillionaire. So it's happening. It's all good.
Yeah,
So good.
fabulous. I wanted to jump in and say, well, your superpower is journeying. So this
Mm,
daydreaming, it's a form of like journeying, right?
yeah.
So the fact that you're able to work with journeying, work with daydreaming to manifest what you want, I think that is absolutely beautiful, absolutely magical. And I don't know, I think there's some magic in that somewhere where we could bring this to people in future, give them the space
Ooh.
to daydream and manifest. I think that could be absolutely gorgeous.
Should we have a daydreaming retreat? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Do you know what? If there's one thing I can do, it is fucking daydream. Like seriously. That was like one of the only things that I get in trouble for when I was at school. Like
Yeah.
daydreaming. No, don't daydream, don't
Daydream.
daydream. I'm like, but this is that it's a proper life skill, man. The fact that they stop you from doing that.
It
It's so
is, it
fun.
is. Yeah, but I think it's instinctual, right?
Mm,
Because when we're in situations where we know our body doesn't want to be, where we know our spirit doesn't want to be, so
yeah.
many of us would float into these other places and be told, "Oh, you've got your head in the clouds." It's like, well, if this was so fucking interesting, maybe I wouldn't
I'd
have
be
my
here.
head in the clouds. you know,
100%. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
maybe I wouldn't need to. But yeah, there is something to be said about daydreaming and talking about rest and tying that into what else we've been up to. Um, when Black Women Heal, we got given a grant to run a Day of Joy for Black and Black mixed women, and we held a When Black Women Heal day retreat, which allowed Black and Black mixed women to be able to rest, enjoy, eat, um, and it was all given for free. It was all given for free, which was absolutely lovely because when we were in our sort of early 20s, there just wasn't necessarily the free space to do these things unless it would have been some weird ass cult trying to drag us in. Yeah, JJ.
Yeah, Jojo, sorry. But I'm listening.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been the space for us to just rest unless shelling out tons of money. So it was really lovely to be able to give back like that. And thank you to the Ubele initiative to be able to give us the money that we could do that. It was a day for 30 women. Not necessarily all of the women have turned up. So we do still have some of the goodie bags that we're going to be giving to Black and Black mixed women, um, to facilitate their joy.
Mhm.
So that will be lovely. Um, and hey, perhaps on this daydreaming retreat, we can open up a couple of spaces for free to give the opportunity to do that.
Definitely. Always, always, always like pay it forward because, like I said a million times before, something I've really struggled with, and like you just said, really struggled with to
Yeah,
find a safe space to kind of do this work. So, like, we all need to make money, but also we need to provide the space for the people who aren't in that position. Like, so
yeah, of
yes,
course.
we're definitely
Yeah,
always
yeah.
going to do that. It was
No,
amazing.
it was. We had a really lovely opening ceremony. It was a bit of a rocky start because the venue that we picked, um, there was a bit of trouble getting into the venue at the time we were supposed to get into. So we did think on our feet and we did the beginning of our opening outside in nature. But by the time we were able to get back into the venue, we were able to do a yoga nidra, which was really lovely and calming. And Nikki led us through that. And I was not really taking part in it. I was sat on a chair, just making sure everyone's needs were met, watching the room. But I kept falling asleep, like dozing off in this chair, just because of her really calming voice. Oh, Nikki's voice! I just love hearing it. It's probably why we've done so many of these podcasts. It's just so soothing, and I felt like I was being wrapped up and like um freaking carried in a sea of beauty. Um, and then we had an Ayurvedic lunch, which was really tasty, really nice, filling, light, but nourishing. And then we did a cacao ceremony. So if you've been following me on my account, J Percy, the artist, name yet to be changed, you'll have noticed that I've been doing cacao ceremonies. So I was able to bring these cacao ceremonies to the women there. along with some intuitive painting, and then an integration session at the end where we all shared our paintings, and it was really lovely seeing what everyone had created for themselves. Um, Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And I'm really, really excited for working with Nikki again in future. I think we're going to be doing a few different workshops, retreats throughout the year. Um, and I really want us to focus on bringing the joy. And I guess we'll get into this a bit later, but when I sat with the grandmother, she said, part of my medicine is, who are you? So my medicine is to ask, who are you? So being in these spaces where I can ask women, who are you? What does it mean to be you outside of your job, your age, your gender, your race? Who is the essence of you? Being able to get that out of people is something I would absolutely love, love, love to do.
So beautiful. Oh my God, I'm so excited to
Yeah.
continue doing workshops and things with you. It's actually, I feel like we've got such a good balance for each other as well. And look, Jay's, oh my gosh, man, get to Jay's Sip and Paints. When's your next one? Do you have one booked?
I don't have. I've sort of figured out that during the July and August months, because people are on half term or they're with their kids, um, I should redo these again when it's a bit cooler weather, perhaps at the end of September. So I feel like I'm going to be running these paints and sips during the colder months, definitely
Okay.
during the colder months,
Oh,
when the cacao is needed.
babe, that's what I was gonna say. That will be so that oh, that will be so nice. That will be so, so nice.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, you have to get, let me show you one I made earlier. So, obviously Jay fell asleep during my knee drop, as she should have.
On a chair.
On
On
a
a chair.
chair. Oh, thank you, by the way. That makes me feel, because I've actually always had an issues with my voice. I don't know how like to say it, but like when I was training as an actor, I know this is something I've been repeatedly told throughout my life. So I've been told, I've had feedback to say I couldn't sing when I was little. I used to love to just sing like a crazy person, and I stopped singing because of that. And then when I was at school and I was training to be an actor, all my teachers would just say, "You've got a terrible voice. You've got a terrible voice. Your projection is awful. Your diction is awful. All of these things." And I do have little like speech things, which are like I can't
Yeah.
say certain letters next to each other properly. Um, so being able to teach the meditation and actually having now this repeated feedback that my voice is really helping people access those spaces is like a massive healing for me. So thank you so, so much.
Yeah.
Um, Jay's also guided me because I haven't picked up a paintbrush since I was at school, but I have these desires to do so. So I took the opportunity to just be part of the group when we were doing the event. I didn't even try and pretend like I was holding any space. I just wanted to paint. And I did show this on our live, but this is what I painted. And now, like, obviously, no judgments. The lines aren't perfect.
No, do you know what? There's so much movement in it. No, keep it up. Don't hide. So when she was drawing this, I was sat there in my head thinking, is this chick painting a vagina? I mean, that's perfectly fine.
I was
That
thinking that
tends
too.
to be the way that happens in my intuitive art classes. But what you see is this really beautiful container, a container and a portal, and there's a wildness about it and a
Mm.
freedom about it that absolutely is what you need to experience when you're painting. So much of, going back to what you're saying about your singing, so much of creative stuff gets shut down when we're kids
Mm.
because someone says, oh, you're not good enough to do that. And it was never about that. Singing was never about being good enough to do that. Creativity was never about being good enough to be creative. We just are. Everyone can sing. Some people sound like Beyonce and some people don't,
I
but
know.
we all can sing, we all can paint, we all can draw. And the more we're enabled to do these things, the better we can feel actually engaging with these things that are, huge parts of the human experience. Huge part.
100%. 100%. I just feel like creativity is like like you've said, it is for everybody. These are the
Yeah.
natural expressions of our humanity. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, and what's difficult is we live in a world where everything is about perfection and comparison and whatever else, like, so it can be
Yeah.
very hard to just do something as like that was literally the amount of
Show
joy.
it again. Tell me about it because I've just talked over what
No, no,
you did
no,
here. Like,
babe, no, I love because like the amount of joy I had painting that, and like I did go really quick. Jay was like, pick 5 paints. I picked like 10, and then she said, just like add a color to the page. So then I was like, whoa! And I had the other paintbrushes out of it, and everyone was like, so gentle and like in the flow, and like, painting these actually these amazing pictures. And I'm just like, "Meh." But that I needed that so bad. Like I
yeah,
needed that. I needed to just be able to paint a picture and it not matter. But it also be something that meant something to me. So I said in our live, obviously, like you said, it's a container. I thought I was painting a vagina. I literally just was like, oh, I'm just painting a vagina. It's because there's loads of vaginas here. Obviously, I'm psychic. I just see all the vaginas. That's what it was. But I was like, why? Why is it that this is what's coming through? And it wasn't until I got home and I like kind of put it to the side and just looked at it that I was like, okay, this is the container, this is the holding that we were doing. And that's why that came out. And it's also why it came out in such a, because I've been doing that all day, holding this space. So, and I also feel like there's a development now. So when I picked pink, I didn't know why, because I actually don't, it's not a color that I would normally have around me.
yeah,
But it's beautiful and it's love, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
This is my color, like the kind of tealy blues. And I
Yeah,
realized that the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the color that I see my soul.
yeah.
And this is Obi Love. Obi Love and Nikki Nick Nicks with the vagina of joy, the container of life,
Yeah,
supporting women. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going to shut the fuck up. But it was fun. It was so
yeah,
fun. You can tell. I'm still
yeah.
obsessed.
These, it's magic. It's magic, and I love making these magic moments, which is yeah, why I want to be across the country doing these things, bringing some actual joy to people's lives because things aren't so joyful all the time. Let's be real. Things aren't um, particularly happy or easy all the time. Some things we want in our life can be really hard won, hard fought. Um, so we need moments, we need soft places to be able to lay our heads down and just be and daydream and have a paintbrush in our hands and be with that. Yeah,
Exactly.
fabulous.
So,
So,
what happened after the event?
well, after the event, my husband comes in one day. He's like, "Do you know what we really need to do? Ayahuasca." And do you know what? I've been planting this seed in his head for years. So the trick is, ladies, to make them feel like it's their idea. And this is probably, I shouldn't give my tricks away. He listens
Don't
to
give
this
your tricks
podcast.
away. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fine. The trick is, ladies, to make them believe it was their idea in the first place. So he says, let's do ayahuasca. And he sort of asks to find a place. I found a few places, sent them in his direction, thought, oh, he can deal with that. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If it's not, it's not. And he did pick somewhere out. And we ended up going to work with the grandmother plant, which we're referring to the grandmother plant in the beginning of this episode, um, abroad in a safe space in this really, really beautiful farm in the countryside. Um, and do you know, I will say to you, if you would like me to recommend a place, please do DM us because these plant medicines, they have varying legality in all countries around the world. So I can happily give you a recommendation if you'd like to DM me and ask me for that. And it's just this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful farm. It had like this little woodland. There were just fields everywhere. There was an outdoor swimming pool, and it was just this really cutesy farmhouse. And there were 10 of us, and we were picked up from the station, taken to this farm. And as you go in, it's just this very serene environment. And then they sort of talk you through everything that you're going to be engaging with, how you're going to be working with the medicine. Um, and I ended up working with the medicine, grandmother ayahuasca. And it was really really nourishing. Oh my gosh. I feel like I feel like so many people who are psychonauts or entheonauts, they come to these types of medicines and then at the end of it they're like, do you know what we need to do? We need to sit down all of the world leaders in a year and we just need to give them this medicine because they'll just cut
Like,
their nonsense, they'll cut the wars, they'll cut the bullshit. Everyone will just be able to come home to self and know what it means to feel true humanity.
mhm.
And I feel like that's what we got. And I will say, you know, especially going from the group that we're in, about 9 out of 10 people have these big breakthroughs. And 1 out of 10 people is always going to be like, that was rubbish. And that's probably what we saw there. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because, you know, not wanting to share other people's journeys. Um, but yeah, 9 out of 10 people had an absolutely transformative and magical time.
Okay, we need more.
We
Like,
Well, do you know what? I do want to rattle on for a bit, but you've had experience working with grandmother Aya in the past. So, what have your thoughts been? Your experiences? Did you get that sort of feeling of we need to sit down all of the world leaders in a tent and just
babe,
give them?
I remember when Barack Obama was president, having that conversation with somebody. But like, someone just give him some peyote. Like, come on, bring him back. Show him what voodoo is. Like, someone just help him out. Um, I I think it's an interesting thing to say because I actually no, I can't go. I'm going to tangent way too far.
Oh no,
I've
you
got
have
so
to.
many
This is why people
thoughts.
come.
I've got so many thoughts about it. I don't know if
Well,
it would
do you know what?
help.
Actually, we haven't even explained what ayahuasca is.
That's what I'm
So
saying. So go back,
we'll go
back.
back. What is grandmother ayahuasca and why would someone work with her?
Oh, you're asking me. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
am.
So ayahuasca is what we call one of the master teachers. She is referred to as female and a lot of the time as grandmother because of the energy she brings. So a lot of people will say that when they meet her spirit, um, she kind of treats you like your grandma would treat you. And I think if you've got a West Indian grandma, you would understand this. Like you will understand this. This is the grandma they're talking about. It's like she's gonna pick you up onto her lap, she's gonna stroke you, she's gonna love you. But if you have done something wrong, she's going to tell you straight away. She might even
Yeah.
give you a little slap and be like, no, 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 no. Like, and it's that kind of firm motherly holding that she
Yeah.
brings where you know. Um, and then we have peyote, which is referred to as grandfather. And again, it's like a similar thing. My experiences with him have been that he actually has the gentleness that a grandmother doesn't have. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, so we have we've got all these different terms for it. Ayahuasca is from South America, so but there are instances across the world of it being used. So I know in Australia,
Mm.
they have oh, what is it called? So the capi, I think. So it's
Mhm.
basically broken down. It's two herbs or
Yeah.
two plants, ayahuasca. It's a leaf called chacruna and a vine called capi, and they mix them together. Now, the amazing thing about this is that these two plants in the Amazon grow hundreds of miles apart.
Yeah.
So there's this whole big thing about how they discovered this mix because I can't remember one. I think it's the um cap I don't want to mess it up, but one of them has a mono whatever inhibitor. Oh my god, I really need to research these things properly.
MAOI.
MAO inhibit. Yeah.
Yeah, MAO
So
inhibitor.
so one of them has the active DMT and one of them has the inhibitor. So mixing them together means that you can have this long journey, basically.
Yeah.
But there's a special way to do it and it takes hours and they chant all these prayers over it. And I tell you what, I've had ayahuasca that's made traditionally and that is not. And the
Mm.
vibration is totally different, like totally
Yeah.
different. There's something in the way that they make it in ceremony. Um, so then it is a tea. It's like a dark brown brew. I
Yeah.
think it tastes like the bitterest chocolate that you've ever had.
Right. I thought it tasted like Jaeger.
Oh, I haven't had Jaeger.
You haven't had Jaeger.
No.
Okay. I'm not a fan of Jaeger. You know,
Yeah.
the first shot of it, I was like, this is okay, this is bearable. The more of it I drank, I'm like, this feels like the fifth shot of Jaeger on a night out that you know you did not
You just
need.
didn't need to go there. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Okay. I do struggle with this because I have very sensitive taste buds. And like, I tell you what, I'm that person. You could open up a bottle of wine next to me, and just that smell can make me think I'm drunk and throw up. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, ingesting these plant medicines has been a challenge.
Yeah.
Nothing that tastes good is a medicine. Let's be honest. Like, we know that's how it works.
It's a
Um,
medicine. Yeah, it
some
tastes like
people,
medicine. It
yeah,
does
and some
taste like a
people say they
medicine.
love it. I think these people are mad. I don't believe them. But yeah, so it's incredibly, incredibly bitter.
Yeah.
And you drink it, and it depends on who you work with and how you're working, what tradition, what medicine, as to how much of that you have. So I've been in ceremony where you get one dose and that dose knocks your head off. I've been in ceremony where you get one dose and it knocks your head off, and then you get a second and it's just subtle, and then you get a third and it's like, there's
Yeah.
different ways that you will do it. And a lot of the time they will give you, little shots, because then they can kind of measure where you're at through the ceremony overnight. The ceremonies will normally take, I would say, in my experience, between 8 to 12 hours. I have been in a
Right.
ceremony that went on 16 hours. That was my
Wow.
second ever ceremony. That was
Okay.
mad. And it's one of those things where, like, you can't, whatever happens with these medicines is what is supposed to happen. So, even those
Right.
people who maybe haven't had the best time, or it hasn't worked for, or whatever,
Mm.
that's what you could receive, like, seriously.
Yeah.
And these are some of the only things that I can be so firm with that school of thought on.
So, what is this a medicine for? Because when we take medicine, we're looking to cure something, right?
Okay, well, yeah. So we can take it as almost like a bit of a universal medicine. So, like, obviously, you're not going to go and sit down, drink a cup of ayahuasca, and your cancer is cured. Like, that isn't
Mm.
how it works. But what she does is she helps you look into. She removes the veil between the
Mm.
realms. So then you can see how things really are here. You can see how things are in the other dimensions.
Mhm.
You can go and look at your healing on a subconscious level, like that.
Mm.
So literally any issue can be gone and
Yeah.
worked through there. If we're looking at healing like a physical disease in the body, then we approach it like that in ceremony. This is a
Yeah.
dis-ease, like, what is causing that dis-ease? Like, we know, obviously, in Western medicine we just treat a symptom, whereas this
Right.
stuff is about looking at how that manifested in your body. And
So
then,
I want to talk to that just for a little bit
yeah.
because it's been seen to be been woo woo for the longest time that if you have a disease and treating the emotional issue is just woo woo. There's an actual physical problem that needs to be solved. So why are we focusing on the emotions? We now have the new scientific study, and I bang on about this all the time, of psychoneuroimmunoendocrinology, which is the study of how the mind affects the immune system, the endocrine system, and the neurological system, your brain. So, how all of these things work together to pump hormones and chemicals around your body that are endogenous, that are made by your body around your body to cause either wellness or illness. What we'll notice is women who, and you can look up, sorry, Dr. Gabor Mate or
Mhm.
Bessel van der Kolk's work on this. And you can also look up polyvagal theory as well. These are all really interesting studies around this psychoneuroimmunoendocrinology that are actually, it's now the science that we have to bridge what indigenous cultures have always known. If you
Mhm.
are in too much of an emotional distress state for a long period of time where you don't shake out that trauma somehow, it is going to find a way to set up in the body, and it's going to find a way to degrade your DNA, and
Mhm.
it's going to cause illness in that area. So they're sort of doing a lot of studies around breast cancer at the moment and seeing that a lot of women who are experiencing breast cancer, they've actually got quite a pattern of having to over nurture people,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
or they're not being able to be in that softness, in that grace, and in their femininity. They are having to overdo, over love, over care, over responsible for things around them.
Yeah.
Um, and then it can look to other diseases of people being sort of like overly flexible to the point where they're eroding their own boundaries, and then having um, issues there like hypermobility issues, or they're physically feeling split in their lives, and then coming up with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it isn't that these things cause directly, you'll have the underlying gene, and the emotion will allow the gene to turn on or off.
Yeah.
So it's a really fascinating study.
Mm.
I would really encourage you to go down the rabbit hole of this, which is why when Nikki says ayahuasca is almost like a master medicine in that respect, because what it does, it gets down to like you've got this. I talk about this on and off. I don't talk about it a lot, but I've been recovering from endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, and adenomyosis. What that has meant is like 5 years at a time, I haven't had periods, and it's purely by working on the emotional, you're able to reconnect the hormones and the chemicals that your body creates to get them working correctly, to be pushing the right functions, not these sort of generative illnesses, which, endometriosis often leads to women having their wombs removed way before their time. But by working on the emotions and even the personality, what you think is your personality, oh, this is just who I am. Like, no, a lot of the time it's a set of traumas that you've built up to defend yourself. It's not who you are. It's not truly who you are. It's just the guard that you've built. And the guard that you've built also causes illnesses. And these illnesses aren't necessarily there to this is going to sound a bit weird, but it's not there to harm you. They tend to be built there to protect you, but they've gone into overdrive for some
Mm-hmm.
reason.
Yeah.
So, in the case of endometriosis, my body wasn't safe to have babies for a really long time. I experienced some sexual trauma. I experienced sexual shaming, period shaming. So, of course, my body is going to then go, well, you know what? This isn't a good function. We're not meant to have kids and we're not meant to have periods. We're just going to have to turn this tap off. We're
Mm-hmm.
just going to have to let this go. And the ayahuasca, even though it's only been, well, I think about a month now, it's been part and parcel of my periods now being regular again.
Hang
Regular,
on. So your periods come back.
regularly, regularly.
What?
Yeah, lighter than I've ever experienced. Like I've never had a normal period where you can just get up and you're just like, oh, do you know what? I'm a bit tired, but yeah, I can do things. Never experienced it.
Jay,
Yeah,
that's fucking amazing. I'm so happy
yeah.
for you. And
Thank
that they've
you.
come and they're not a
No,
drama.
no pain, no pain, no drama. I can actually exercise through it. I can do things through it. I can work through it. Like I'm a little sleepy. I can
Yeah.
imagine that you're probably supposed to be a little
Well,
sleepy.
yeah, you're bleeding out
No
your
pain.
vagina. It's hard work.
Yeah. There's the occasional like I'm aware of like a bit of discomfort, but it's not pain.
How does it feel to be bleeding?
Liberating. My whole
Mm,
mindset around it has changed. And, working with the ayahuasca and it pointing to the fact that, I experienced a lot of period shaming as a teenager from people I shouldn't have experienced it from.
mm.
And no wonder it was going to start giving me problems. But now things are better. Things are better. What the focus is now, though, is the ayahuasca during ceremony on the first night pointed me to the fact that, as a baby, the weaning I received wasn't necessarily conducive to me having a good relationship with food, physically or mentally. So now I know that that's been revealed. Um, I'm going to work on that, and then it also gives me some knowledge because then when I choose to have children, which I I now things are active and I can do that now. I'm going to make sure to wean them in a way that is going to be conducive to good mental and physical relationship to food,
Mm.
and that is intergenerational healing right there.
100%. And this is that story which you told me in depth about the
Mm.
food. I feel like
Yeah,
is one of the most kind of like succinct and profound kind of first uh meeting stories that I've ever heard. Like you've literally
yeah,
come out with something in a really concise way, in a really clear way,
yeah,
and you've been given a direction actually, and that makes sense to you now. You've come back into this reality, and
yeah,
that's what this is. This is like I mean, I've heard people say that having a session of ayahuasca is like having 10 years of therapy in
Mm,
one night. And in a way it is,
mm,
but it's the integration afterwards that is the most important part, because,
yeah,
you can have whatever experience, you can receive whatever messages, but if you leave that, literally just leave that space and leave that
yeah,
there, then you may not as well not have done it. You've just gone on a
yeah,
trip. Like, so coming back and then actively, like, maintaining any diet that you should be on with that medicine, or actively engaging in your integration, so like
yeah,
trying to um go through your journey, bring those aspects into your life that you need to have, like those really strong lessons, because this is the thing, she does not mess around. Like, she'll tell you straight out, like,
yeah,
your food thing is messed up, like this is what it is, and like this is how
yeah,
you sort it out, and you'll be there like, oh my gosh, and then it's so simple, and then you'll come home and you'll be like, okay, it's simple, but it's simple like the way everything else is simple. Do you know what I mean? It's still
yeah,
fucking hard to do and actually change my
yeah,
whole life now, you know?
yeah,
And so it's, but what, that food thing, the weaning thing, I just think is like integral to so many people's story. Like, so many people,
yeah,
I don't know if I know a human who has what would be termed as an actual healthy relationship with food.
yeah,
It's like everybody, I know so many people with different things and different issues, and who struggle to eat, or who struggle to not eat, or whatever, all the places in
yeah,
between. um yeah, so that's really beautiful, and that's it. I think if you're willing to listen and you're open, and then you will receive a lot from it.
yeah,
The hard place is the integration afterwards. But and I also, like I said before, don't think it's for everybody. And the thing with Jay is, you have been, sorry, OBJ Love.
love. We'll get
Thanks.
used to it. It's growing.
I just need to call you OB Love, because in my phone you're OB Love. I
Okay.
changed it straight away. But that you have been doing work on this for a really long time. So obviously it's your first time with this medicine, but you've been doing your Abia practice, you've been doing your shamanic practices, you've
I'm
been
working with mushrooms.
working with mushrooms, exactly, with them, with these other medicines. You've also been, over your lifetime, your mind has been geared in that way, like your
Yeah,
14-year-old's manifestation book and all this kind of stuff, where you have this open mind and you've done practices that help support you in that space.
yeah,
Now, one thing that I would recommend, if you do want to go and work with these medicines, is that you have some kind of meditation practice, because
mm,
when you go to sit with them, you receive everything at once, and your brain can really get super involved in that.
yeah.
And it can confuse sometimes when you come out of the session, like what your messages are. um so yeah, oh gosh, I've kind of lost my train of thought now. What was I just saying?
Meditation. So I'm gonna
Meditation.
say a little bit about that. I've been doing meditations increasingly over the years. You know, I started years ago when people were saying you should be meditating half an hour every day, and I couldn't do that. I could do 3 minutes, and
Yeah.
once I got past 3 minutes, I was able to do 15 minutes, and then you able to do the sort of like half an hour sessions. And I saw something come up on my Instagram the other day where some graduate had gone on a 10-day silent meditation retreat. I think that's probably the next step.
Of a passioner, you need to talk to
That's
Rena. She's a
yeah,
passionate expert. Yeah.
really.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah, yeah,
my
that's
gosh.
her main practice. Yeah. Or
But
was.
being able to go inwards and silent the mind and chatter. So going back to the way what I experienced was laid out, it was two ceremonies. So on the Friday you go, you have orientation, and then the Friday evening you have a ceremony. And I think it's something like 5 o'clock. Can't quite remember. 4 o'clock, sometime around the late afternoon. And then the second day you have, which is Saturday, you start ceremony at 1 o'clock, so it's much earlier. After each ceremony, you have some kind of integration session, so it's not entirely long and drawn out, but you are sort of saying what you've experienced.
Mhm.
And the first ceremony I felt was really easy for me to get into, because as soon as I laid down on the mat, the first thing I did was put myself into a meditative state, waiting for this thing. Instead of sort of like panicking, oh, this thing is going to harm me, you know, I was able to put myself into a calm state and allow it to move through my body. And somatically experience where it was in my bloodstream. And if it weren't for meditation, I probably would not have been able to experience that. So for the first day, I was probably under the influence of this medicine. I would say probably about 20 minutes in. It was quite funny, and I will mention this. There was a person in the tent who has done ayahuasca quite a few times. So literally, as soon as he drank the medicine, and on this medicine, by the way, you can purge, so you can vomit, you can shit yourself. Not literally shit yourself. You find your way to a toilet. You
I mean,
really
you
do.
can shit yourself. I'm not gonna lie.
You might yawn, you might need to cry or scream or shake. So there's all of these like getting things out of the body that you do. And because he's done it so often, I guess it was like it might not even be 5 minutes. Like as soon as he's drunk this, he started throwing up because the memory of it is just there in his body. It's obviously not in my body, the memory is the first time working with it. So I was in within about 10 minutes, and I could sort of sense that people around me weren't necessarily in it right away, except for obviously the guy who threw up, like immediate response. And that meant I was able to navigate quite a lot quickly, because you really do feel when you're taking this, your sense of time is completely changed. Like time changes, it becomes
Time,
relative.
time is a realm, boy, and you are
It
traveling
is.
different realms.
Yeah, it really is. But I was in it so quick, and then I was probably out of it quickly. It was 5 hours that first ceremony, but the second ceremony, probably because I wasn't focusing on the meditative practices as much, or maybe it was just how it was moving through my body and needed to move through my body a second time. It took me sort of 3 cups and a lot of the ceremony to get into it. Um, but I was in it for much longer. I think I was in it pretty much till the next day I woke up, even though the ceremony itself was sort of cut off in the evening, because
Yeah.
they end the ceremony formally. Because we know with any of these holding spaces, you open the ceremony, you close the ceremony, and then after that, you move around as you wish. But I was definitely in it for a lot longer, probably through to the next morning.
Well, babe,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
meditation.
we spoke that next day at like
Yeah,
1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you were like,
yeah.
still with it. And I was like, yeah, babes, for
You were
sure.
the first. You were the first person I called.
As it should be.
Like, I know who needs to hear about this fuckery.
I was
See.
literally just waiting with bated breath the whole week, and I was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Um, but yeah, no, it's really interesting where you put that actually to the dose that you take. So on the
Yeah.
on the first session, how much did you have? Just 1 cup?
No, I ended up probably having about four in the first session,
Yeah,
but I took one and I was quickly in, and I almost felt like I was coming quickly out of it.
yeah.
So I said to them, like, can I have another one, please? And they're like,
Mhm.
it's still the first within the first hour. You have to wait until the first hour till you can have the second one. They what they won't do is overload you. They
Yeah.
do pace it. They obviously have a vested interest in keeping everyone really safe.
Hmm.
Because the country that I've gone to do this, obviously, other other psychedelics, other entheogens are completely legal, but this is one of those that is sort of on a grey area in this
Yeah.
country. So, um, authorities are very aware that this is a new hub within this country where
Yeah.
this type of work is popping up. But their general guideline is just make sure no one gets hurt, no
Yeah.
one finds out.
And that should be the most important thing. And this is why it's
Yeah,
really important to really research the group that you're going to. And I would almost
yeah,
always recommend that you go to a group where you know someone has been there, so
yeah,
you can have that direct word of mouth experience. Like, um, because it's very easy, like it is with anything, to actually get these. I could go on eBay now and I could order all these components.
mm,
And if I order them separately, it's not illegal. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? But am I qualified to then mix up this medicine and give it to people?
Mm,
That's the but that's how it goes down a lot in this country, because we're in prohibition. So the
yeah,
hunger is extreme, and
yeah.
the ignorance is also extreme, and
Mm,
the ego is also extreme. So
Very true.
we have to be so careful with the groups that we go to
Yeah.
do this with, or with the people that we go to sit with. And I would recommend, if you cannot do it, finding going to a place where maybe the medicine is from, if you
Yeah.
can. I mean, for us, that's
Yeah.
an expensive flight. But
Yeah.
ask yourself why you want to do these things, like, and ask yourself um about your lineage. I don't think you have to be from like a tribe to have ayahuasca at all, but
Yeah.
I do, as somebody who's born in this country, I'm very aware
Yeah.
of the medicines we have here,
Yeah. Of
and
course.
about understanding the different lands and how all those kind of things work. um it sounds like it sounds so beautiful, like the experience that you had, and
Yeah.
so safe and so held, and I really appreciate that happened for you.
I could have lived there. It felt like, they had helpers there. They had female and male helpers there. Um, the shaman, they're all white. Um, and they're all really respectful of this medicine and of the
Mm,
people it comes from.
mhm.
They were saying that before the lockdown, they would actually have these medicine people from tribes come
Yeah, come
over
over.
and lead the ceremonies, and they've all been trained by them. But sadly, after the lockdown, apparently some of these elders who are from the Amazon, like literally the Amazon,
Mm,
they got shut down in Europe for months at a time, and as a result they were terrified that they might die over here because just the hysteria of coronavirus. And they of course wanted to be buried in the Amazon, in their
mm,
homeland.
mm,
So there has been that sort of like discouragement from them coming back over to Europe at the moment, because there is just that fear that something might pop up again, and then they end up trapped
mhm.
in the land of the white man, which
Scary.
yeah, it's pretty terrifying. So I will say that it is a white owned, a white led space, but I felt very safe. I never felt othered. Um, I felt very welcomed. I felt it was very open and warm, and that was my experience of the place. And they felt very well informed, very trauma informed,
Mm,
and it felt like a really beautiful place to be in. They've really considered everything, and they really hold reverence and honor from where this has come from the people it comes from, and that is important to me. That is really important to me.
100%. Yeah,
Mm.
that's it. Like having that respect and that, I love it, reverence and honor. Like, because
They did. That's what they did. They really did honor where this came from and the spirit of it, and they honor what it does, and they honor your experience, and they've clearly sat through enough experiences
mm,
to know what people may experience. And they're very validating, with what everyone experienced, even the 1 out of 10 person who perhaps didn't get what they expected. It was like, this is also a part of the experience, and so much of the integration and experience can happen when you're away from this. Being in that year is just one part of this very big journey. This medicine is now a part of your DNA. It's now a part of who you are, you
mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, and that's why that guy just had to, like I said, smell it,
Yeah.
and he was already purging.
literally,
Did you not purge? Did you
I
purge?
did. I shat
Yeah.
myself.
No, did you shit in the toilet?
I did. I did.
Okay. And you wiped your bum.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They had like a hose, so I guess I hosed off my bum.
A bit of a B day
A bit of
action.
a beating.
The way we should do it. Oh my gosh, that's what every ceremony needs a B day. That, like, seriously,
Yeah.
anyone who's listening to this, if you have traveled in these circles a lot, you will know what I'm fucking talking about. We need B days on tap.
Yeah, but it
Um,
was mad. Do you know what? I'm not someone who likes to talk about poop humor or even poop. But honestly, as I sat there on the toilet, it was the hottest I've ever been in my life. I had to strip. So I was inside this toilet. You can't lock it from the inside. There's sort of a magnet for your privacy, but they need to be able to get in if anything goes wrong with you, right? So I just pulled everything off. Like, oh my God, I'm so hot. This is boiling. And then I'm seeing all of these geometric patterns. But it's like, I feel like, like a tube of toothpaste where it's like being squeezed through. I felt like I was being squeezed through. And it felt so relieving to be it was like it wasn't just my gut being squeezed, it felt like my whole body was being like squeegeed, and just like rid of negativity. That's the only way I can explain it. And then like Nancy the spider was there, like holding the web of life. Bizarrest poop in my life. But it's so necessary. Do you know what I mean? And
100%.
while this was happening, I was getting this reminder. It's like, yeah, the first sort of like the last sort of nurture you got without having to someone being expected to give back immediately or interact in a way that someone else expects of you was probably when you were in nappies. And that was the message that I was hearing. It's like, wow, really so much expectation is even placed onto toddlers, behave better, be, that's expected to behave in a certain way. But when you're a toddler, you're still like learning about the world and you're just barely out of nappies. So I really did get that message that the last time you were able to just be without too many expectations being placed on you was when you were in nappies.
What a deep message, man. And all while you're
I
sitting on
think,
the toilet.
yeah, it certainly beats sitting and scrolling on your phone.
I'm just scrolling the universe. That's
Yeah.
such ownership. That is what it's like. Okay, and I said this to Jay. Again, anybody who has experienced medicine work maybe a few times will know about the toilet situation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like toilets are portals where you all get lost. So they will never let you lock the door, obviously, because like
Yeah.
even in like a nightclub, that sometimes isn't the safest thing. Like someone, could be really
Yeah.
sick or could faint, whatever, things can happen. But when you are in that toilet, the
Yeah.
cubicle, you've shut the door and it's just you in this little box. And I think
Box.
you said a really good thing about it. You were like, because it's like it's somewhere you can be really relaxed. Like it's like one of the
Yeah.
only places throughout the day that you'll go to be relaxed on your own. Right. So
Yeah.
like you're all of a sudden you're in this like dark, you're in this fucking what is it called? What Doctor Who has?
The TARDIS
You're in
thing.
like a TARDIS, right? It's literally like the elevator to different dimensions. While
Yeah.
you are releasing your life through your bladder and bowels, your
Yeah.
consciousness is literally like
It's like either
traveling,
end, like
you know, and it is. And I do think it's something about the toilets aren't normally within the circle. Do you know what I mean?
no.
So they're not normally within the held space, even if it
Yeah.
is within the sacred space of the place. Like
Yeah.
the toilets aren't held. As soon as you leave the circle, you literally can be like, that's when you start
Yeah.
to understand how the energy works, and that all these things that we do, like with our herbs, like with our smudging, with walking in certain directions, all that kind of stuff, they may look like nothing in this when you're looking with
Yeah.
these eyes, but they are all affecting the vibration of the reality around there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the toilet is a vortex. Once you step out of that circle and you start to purge, because purging is some of the most important stuff that happens. Like purging is what, this is a release. So this is your emotional and physical release that's happening. And purging almost always will take you deeper into your journey. So I would have this where I would just like be sitting there, nothing would be happening. And then all of a sudden I'd just be like projectile. I'm that loud. And then I am like in another universe, it's like it's cleared the way, whatever I was holding on to is gone. So yeah, so remember, if you do want to work in this way, because I've been in a lot of circles where people have tried to run away mid-session. I've done it.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
babes.
You've
Like,
run away.
well, even just sitting in a circle of people you don't know and having to throw up in a bucket in front of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was what you were, because you want that purge to happen within the safety of the space. But as just a person, I don't know these people. I'm literally doing the loudest vomit you've ever heard. I don't want to be facing somebody throwing up. That's what my thoughts were. And that's what I think sometimes people can have thoughts like that. Like you want privacy, which is totally normal, but it's safer to do it within the space. Obviously, you need to go toilet. But it's always such an interesting thing because the toilet stories I hear are amazing. I've literally just like the fractals in the toilet.
Fractals in the
I
toilet.
love it.
Oh my God, that's going to be the name of my memoir.
Love it. I love it. So
like tell all.
do you feel like this experience for you has been of benefit?
Hugely. Not even just the revelations that have come from it. And I'm sure we're going to have to do a couple of more episodes on this
You will,
because
yeah.
how long have we been speaking already?
Probably about an hour, I think.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have
Yeah,
to do a couple more episodes on this, I reckon.
yeah.
Not only the universal downloads from this, the actual beauty of the ceremony. On both ceremonies, they had these really beautiful musicians who were like, oh, it was just the most beautiful sound healing. One of them had a Celtic harp, one of them had an African harp. Um, one of
Mm.
them was like playing the drum and making like wind sounds with her mouth, and it sounded like as she was making these wind sounds, you felt the cold and the storm move in. And obviously, it's not there; you're inside a blooming yurt, and just the singing was like angels and fairies, and then the second singer on the second ceremony, she she did a lot of singing with her guitar and her harp and um, chanting mantra, which was it just made me feel so happy because it was like mantra that when I first realized that I was heavily suicidal, these were the first mantra that I found that helped me to not unalive
Wow.
myself. And she was singing this and it was just so beautiful. And I just felt like this is like the tie up. Um, this is the tie up that, I'm still here. I'm supposed to be here. And it felt like a thread had continued on in my life. Just the beauty of the ceremony itself, the beauty of wow, the beauty of going through the childhood trauma and being shown the most, abusive moments in your life, the
Mm.
most abusive moments in your adulthood life, and then being told, like, right, we've lived this now. Your purpose on earth is not to dwell on these things. Your purpose is actually joy. Your purpose, you are a charge of the goddess of love. Your name is love. Your name has always been love. So you're supposed to move through the world as love. And, love understands that harm can happen and abuse can happen, but it doesn't dwell in it. It moves forward and it spreads more of the love because that hurt only spreads more hurt. And
Mm.
that beautiful message of being, told my true name. So for me, I, we're still going to be working on this, calling me Jay, calling me love, because it's a transition, right? It's a journey in itself. But being specifically told that not we're not renaming you. Your name has always been love. It's always been love. It's never not been love. It's just you were given a different name in this realm. Um, and having that told to me, it felt so validating because I've kind of always felt like my name isn't my name. I don't know how to explain that,
Mm.
but I remember being in Woolworths at 5 years old, seeing one of the weekend counter girls with my name on her name tag and telling my mother that's not my name. She's like, what? It's like, yeah, it's not my name. And I've always known that, but I've never been able to articulate what my name was, who I
Mm-hmm.
am. And having that validated to me was really, really special. It's something that you can't buy experiences like these. I mean, we did buy an experience like this. We physically got on a plane and paid money for a retreat. But man, I will find that money again and I will go back. I will absolutely go back because everything about it was just tip top.
It's just, oh, it's so beautiful to actually hear you speak about it and hear the ways in which those messages come through for you and make sense
Yeah.
for you. Really beautiful, actually. Like it's yeah, there are some people who are natural navigators of these realms, shall we say.
Yeah.
And our AB love over here, maybe one of them. So I reckon as much as I wanted to go down some next routes on this podcast today,
Yeah.
aliens,
What
AI.
we got?
Um, I don't think we should. And I think we should wrap up here and then come back next week with some juicy
Okay.
conspiracy.
Well, do you know what? This is the perfect time to tell you what we are going to be talking about in the next episode. We're going to be talking about Nikki's experiences with grandmother Aya and aliens, extraterrestrial,
Extraterrestrial.
interdimensional beings
That's what I prefer.
that,
Yeah,
yeah,
interdimensional beings.
interdimensional beings, yeah,
And look, they
Yeah.
aren't, it isn't that these two things have to go together. But for me, there have been some experiences that have been linked. And because Jay has just shared such beautiful experience of her Aya journeys, I feel like maybe I should share some of the shit that I've done in my life.
Yeah, and do you
Um,
know what? I'm excited about this because she actually hasn't told me much about it. I've told her not to tell me much about it because I kind of want my reactions to be genuine on on the podcast. I want you to feel this story as I'm feeling
we basically ban each other from talking unless we're recording. It's like, no, don't talk about this.
it. Is that is it? It's now as good a time as any to wrap up.
I think it is. Yes.
Right. Right, it's now as good as time as any to wrap up on this week's episode of the Afro Animist podcast. We'll be back with an episode on grandmother ayahuasca and aliens, and then after that, we'll be doing some more talking on AI because that's becoming an ever-present reality in this realm, in this Midgard Earth that we're having to experience for our sins.
Exactly. I just look, guys, this is probably what's going to happen now, and it's not Love's fault, it's my fault. Okay. We're probably going to spend a lot of this season talking about aliens and AIs because really, what else is happening
Yeah,
in the world? That's all I'm
yeah,
saying. And then we're going to go off and just drink shitloads of some mass teacher medicine to communicate with them, and we'll be done. Great.
yeah.
End of.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
No, but we will be like, I have had some experiences, and to be honest, like, I don't talk about my experiences a lot because I don't like being judged. It takes a lot of power away from these out there experiences that I've
Yeah.
had that in no way can like prove. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
sometimes it's you don't want to share too much, but I feel like it is time because I have had 3 alien experiences. 3.
Three. Three. I
I
thought
told
we
you
were
about
just
all
going
of
to talk
them.
about. Okay, do you know what? This is going to be fun. I think you should tune in to listen to some of these stories. I think we're also going to be talking about Glastonbury,
We
like
have
not the festival, the place,
no the
the
place.
heart, the heart chakra of the world. Mm,
Exactly. Good old Avalon. So we took a trip there. Yeah, so there's a lot coming up, guys.
yeah.
Thank you for being so patient with us for our break. And like seriously, stay tuned because we have got some exciting shit. We needed that time to get our stuff together and
We need
to
to
plan
live.
the rest. We are living,
Yeah.
and this is it. This is the rest of the year, and it's going to be exciting, and we're going to bring you along for the ride. So we will see you next week. Bye.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, beautiful being of the multiverse, for joining us on the Afro Animist podcast.
If you want to get stuck into the conversation or have a question about anything we speak about here, join our mailing list and find us on our socials.
On TikTok and Instagram, find us at the Afro Animist podcast.
On Twitter, you can find us at Afro Animist. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, you can also find this talk on YouTube. Just search for us and we will pop up as if by magic.
If you're loving what we're talking about here, share, like, and subscribe. And remember to leave us a thumbs up or 5-star rating on your favourite platform.